What is going on to all my movie fans out there, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Elliot, and this is MovieFiles. Today we are back discussing the new Luca Guadagnino coming-of-age romantic cannibal road trip horror film by the names of Bones and All, which your boy got a chance to check out in theaters the other day, and I'm very excited to share my thoughts with you all. And I'm going to let you know by the end of this review if this film is worth checking out in theaters on November 23rd. But before we get into all that stuff, if you all haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and hitting that notification bell. That way you can stay up to date with all my daily reviews. You can also give your boy a follow on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. All those links can be found in the description of this very video. Well, speaking of this video, do your boy a favor, hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed my review. Also hit that share button, and more importantly, go ahead and share your thoughts on this film in the comments below. Let's talk about number one, were you excited for this film? Are you a fan of Luca? Are you a fan of Timothée Chalamet? And of course, once you've seen the movie, let's talk about it. Pros, cons, direction, cinematography, score, performances, story, what worked, what didn't work. Let's talk about it in the comments below. So for me personally, y'all, I was very excited for this film. I'm a big Luca fan. From seeing one of my first times experiencing this movie was A Bigger Splash. 2017's Call Me By Your Name was beautiful. Your boy might sound crazy, y'all, but I prefer his Suspiria over the original. I know it's crazy, but I love me some Suspiria. And of course, I actually covered his TV series on HBO Max a couple years back, which went by the name of We Are Who We Are. So, love Luca, big fan of Timothée Chalamet, love Taylor Russell, and love the supporting cast. I was here for it. Is it worth your time? Is it worth checking out? Let's get into my thoughts here. Let's go back to my man Luca. I'm such a fan of his direction, especially he's one of those directors in my eyes that puts his characters and puts his story before anything, right? And he's a very visual storyteller as well, but he focuses so much on building these characters, studying these characters, get into their headspace, and the way he navigates his narrative, where he allows you, for better or for worse sometimes, to really sit in a scene and really take in the emotions and take in what's going on, the atmosphere, the tone, all that stuff. He's just such a present director. It doesn't feel like he's focused of what's going on later, what's happening in the past. He's focused on right now in the moment, in this scene. How can I make this scene as beautiful, as tragic, as dark, as romantic as possible? And I thought his direction in this film was nothing short of spectacular, as his previous filmography has given us. So I thought he was just amazing in the direction chair. Man, I love Luca's score, and I love when Luca works with some great composers. And we got some of the best in the business. I'm talking about Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. I love the way that the score infuses you in this journey, and it really creates this sense of dread at points, and it creates a sense of love and just tragedy. I just really enjoyed the score of this film. It embraces the time period that this film takes place in, which is the 80s, by the way, which also shout out to the production as far as costume, hair and makeup. We'll talk about the cannibalism a little bit later, the gruesome moments there, but I thought all the production elements, especially the cinematography too, beautiful pieces of art. When we're traveling through the Midwest, we shout out to the Midwest, your boys from Chicago, currently living in Missouri, it was great going on and seeing the different vast natures of the Midwest. So I really love the production of this film, but I also love the performances. Now, first and foremost, we're going to get to the star players, but the ensemble cast, man. Michael Stuhlbarg, André Holland, Chloë Sevigny. They didn't have a huge presence in the film, but whenever they were on screen, I love those actors. I love them collaborating with Luca. André worked for him for the first time. I just thought that they just added just another layer of just excellence to this movie. But as far as the stars, man, I am a fan of Timothée Chalamet, and I really enjoyed his performance in this film. He goes by the name of Lee. Now, Lee is a feeder himself, which we'll talk about what that means, but he comes across our main character on this journey of self-discovery, coming-of-age romance, and he's a little bit more of a veteran than she is, and you get to hear his backstory, his family history, his trauma, what led him into becoming a cannibal, and what led him to this point in the film. And I thought that it was just a beautiful tale. And again, Timothée Chalamet, the way he's picking his product so far, the way he dives into these independent films, and Timothée Chalamet, who was fantastic. Man, I am so impressed by Taylor Russell. The first time I saw her was in a film called Waves, A24 production, one of the most underrated films of the past decade. And when I saw her in that film, and it translates into this film, she has this sense of vulnerability, this kind of innocence to her, and just her nature, the way she carries herself. You just want to know what's going on in her head, man. And she's our main character. And this is where the coming of age comes about with our character played by Taylor. She is dealing with being cannibal and just seeing her journey on growing into her own, what her life could look like, her and her father's relationship, her and her mother's relationship. It's just so many layers and dimensions and just complexities to this character that I absolutely love. And again, Taylor Russell, is the way that she emotes herself with her eyes, her body language, the way that she has joy, the way that she can be tragic, the way that she just gives you everything that you need her to give you in the roles that she's playing. Fantastic. I say all that great stuff about those young, talented individuals, but my goodness, Mark Rylance as Sully, as he goes by in third person. Oh my man, I've seen a lot of Mark's work. He can give you everything. He has a vast filmography in a lot of different genres, but I've never seen him play a menacing person like we see him in this film. Whenever he was on film, it was just, you're kind of on edge. You just like, you don't know. It was kind of like the Joker. I don't know. It was just kind of, he wasn't like as heightened as a Joker. And when you see the film, you know what I'm referring to, but it's just like, you don't know what he's going to do next. He seems nice, and he has this kind of switchblade, Billy Bob Thornton kind of accent going on. And he seems like, again, a nice individual, but oh my goodness, you don't want to piss off Sully. And Mark Rylance, kudos to you. The costume was just so kind of chaotic. The character's chaotic. He does some chaotic things in this movie too. But again, the cast, absolutely fantastic. But Mark stole this movie from me. Whenever he was on screen, like I said, I was on pins and needles. But pivoting over to the beautiful aspects of this movie, which is the story. It's so beautiful. It is just a love story, coming of age, self-discovery, road trip that I enjoy, but it's also extremely tragic. It's kind of amalgamation, paying homage to films such as Natural Born Killers meets Bonnie and Clyde relationship as we see this coming of age romance happen, but also when we transition into the elements of the cannibalism, which, if you know Luca and Coming of Age and Call Me By Your Name, Armie Hammer would have fit perfectly in this film. But no, in all seriousness, when we get to those elements of what it's like to want to feed and the natural urges and not having self-control, it's gruesome. And again, I've seen Luca's work, especially with Suspiria. He knows how to shoot those type of scenes. And again, shout out to the production, because the film doesn't shy away. It's showing you people getting their face eaten and their chest, and it's pretty gruesome. So I will warn you all there. But again, it's very tragic, and it is very... I hate to use the word fascinating to see this kind of side of life, which I never really look into what people do when they're cannibals. And it's pretty dark, y'all. And it's also very tragic, especially the way that we see how these characters play into it. So those are some things that really stood out to me. But transitioning into my criticisms, I mentioned how much I was in love with Taylor's performance and her coming of age story and her coming to her own as a person. But sometimes I feel like the film didn't do the best job of balancing all the different things of what she's going on, what she has going, and also the plot, whether it's the various relationships she comes about in this film, her looking for a very important person in her life, her relationship with her father, which I wanted a little bit more of that, her facing what it's like to be a cannibal and feeding and having this discussion throughout the film. Am I a bad person? I just wish that it was sometimes a little bit too all over the place. I wish it was a little bit more focused in focusing on our main character and sometimes taking a detour of adding some of the other elements. And I also wish that the film would have leaned more into that question of self-control, or should I say, in this case, the lack of self-control that these characters have when feeding their urges, and how we can kind of relate, not to eating people, not saying that at all, but how we can relate in our day-to-day lives of different stages of not having self-control, whether it's gambling or alcohol or drugs. It's just, I wish they would have leaned heavily into that aspect of not having control and what it looks like a little bit more into this film. Diving into some other things too, this film, I felt that 2 hour and 10 minute runtime, especially when we get into the second half. I feel like it dragged on. I was never bored in this movie, but the pacing was a little bit off in that second half. Also too, without giving away the ending, the third act kind of has moments where you feel like, oh, okay, this is where we're in it. Nope, it's another 10 minutes. Oh, okay, that's a nice ending. No, it's another 10 minutes. So I felt like there were multiple endings in this film, which last thing I want to mention regarding the ending, without giving that away, obviously, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of it. It's very shocking what happens, and it leaves you on the edge of your seat. I just wish that it would have hit me more emotionally than I think that the film was trying to get me to get to that level, but it just didn't hit me like I think that it intended to do. So before I give you my score, before I give you my overall thoughts, if you haven't already, again, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe. Overall, bones and all is what I expected for Luca Guadagnino. Fantastic direction, amazing production, beautiful art, well as tackling a coming-of-age love story with a lot of tragedy, with a lot of unexpected twists and turns. Has some shortcomings, and again, that runtime, I wanted a little bit more of Taylor's story and her relationship with her parents, but all in all, y'all, it's a lot to stomach, but it is a really well-made film. With that being said, I'm going to give Bones and All a 3.8 out of 5. And again, I will warn you, it is very graphic. It can be very dark, but at the end of the day, I think it's a beautiful film. So with that being said, I recommend it. And when you all give it a shot, if you do, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Again, pros, cons. Who were the characters you liked the most? What were some elements you didn't like? Let's have those conversations in the comments. If you stuck around to this point in the review, do me a favor, put in the comments right now, hashtag don't eat while watching this film. With that being said, again, just a reminder to like, share, comment, subscribe. You all have been awesome. Hope you're staying safe. As you can see on the screen now, come and join the community. Check out my other reviews on this channel. Check out my most recent review, and we'll catch you all on the next breakdown.